I'm an oil.
Ladies and gentlemen, I've traveled over half our state to be here tonight. I couldn't get away sooner because my new well was coming. Ladies and gentlemen, if I say I'm an oil man, you will agree.
I'm a YouTube man. Now there are certain things that I can do that no one else. There Will Be Blood is a 2007 movie starring Daniel Day-Lewis, based off of a book called Oil. I have it here, by Upton Sinclair. His name's right here on the cover. Right here on the front page. Published in 1927. It's about an oil man. It's a very muted movie, where instruments don't play more than 2 notes at a time. There Will Be Blood. It's a movie about lies and capitalism, and from my original viewing of it, I took one very major plot hole that stood with me for several days. But first, context. Patrick H. Williams, independent filmmaker and video essayist, recently put out a YouTube video, Shut Up About Plot Holes, where he not so delicately takes down what popular society has deemed as plot holes that is not, and then talks about why they do not matter to story. The line that a lot of people are taking umbrage with from this video is, it's hard to watch movies wrong, but you're watching movies wrong. And this is not the thesis of the video. This is one in the middle that people took out of context and made them itch, cause ooh. But this idea is not Patrick's alone. Notable smart people, Lindsay Ellis and Movie Bob, have both taken spins off this general theme. Patrick's video was about how plot holes are not what movies are about, and using plot holes to judge a movie's value or make a subjective opinion seem more factual or objective is dishonest. Lindsay, with a video about how the new Beauty and the Beast movie wrote itself to be an answer to pedantic internet trolls who only had bad faith arguments to begin with, and that actually made the movie a lot worse.
I'm talking to a candle.
Candelabra!
Thanks, I hate it.
With a bunch of unnecessary garbage that did not matter. Movie Bob made a video about how leeches on society use the impression that plot holes make opinions more factual to sneak in disgusting opinions about racism and how women are inferior. And everyone agrees that CinemaSins is garbo. Side note, I'm really pissed at this point because while writing this, I realized my spell checker knows how to spell CinemaSins, but frequently does not understand words I use in normal writing almost weekly. Fuck CinemaSins. What can we do with things that bother us about movies? As people who watch and write and digest movies, what can we do with these things, these small parts of them that we don't understand, that don't make sense to us, or that are illogical, that may break the character or the logic of the movie that has been established? I mean, when I notice something I don't understand about a movie or that sticks out in my mind, I know I want to talk about it. I want to talk about a lot of things, all the time. I've already accepted that plot holes don't make an opinion less subjective. However, if there is something we don't understand from a movie, we should take a lesson from it. We should delve into it for meaning. I understand that when characters do something that is out of their established character, that isn't a plot hole, that's a plot contrivance. That's the writer making the character just do a thing so that the plot can happen. Like a certain writer's Doctor Who episodes, whenever he wrote Rose, she would just, climb any ladder that would appear in front of her, and then she would climb it to the plot. Are you my mommy is fucking nuts? Oh man. And when these things happen, I do think that we should question them. One, so we can understand what was so important about the plot that it had to happen, and two, maybe we are wrong. And we need to understand something more about the movie and the character and ourselves. There Will Be Blood is an odd movie. It is rated R, but there is hardly any swearing or blood or violence or sexuality. It's a real muted movie, but it's rated R because it is rather intense. It's still quite the thought exercise for me for why this is rated R, because it doesn't have any of the non-contextual standards for a rated R movie. People die. It's dangerous work. Daniel Plainview walks around and he proves wells. He proves, I think, 3 in the intro, and then he comes to a town and he buys up most of the town. He has a weird kind of dual thing with the conflict with Eli, the preacher of the town, and he drills for oil. There's an awesome kind of new wave religious scene where the camera takes on the part of the imagined spirit that Eli is exorcising. It's very showy. This movie, the music is very subdued. Most of the time you're just getting Foley. You're getting the sounds of footsteps, works, tings. And when the music swells up, there is music in this movie, and when it swells up, it is fantastic. I feel like, in a way, it is to bring your attention to the things that are happening. This is a very focused movie on Daniel Plainview and the things that he is doing and the lies that he tells, the little lies that come with every step of the business, from buying land to sales pitches to dealing with competitors. And his character, I thought I understood. I should say, when I saw this movie, I was very much so Slytherin, if you know what I mean. I saw the things that Daniel Plainview did as just part of business. If these people don't know how much their land is worth if there's oil under the ground, good for Daniel for taking advantage of it. Also, Eli is a bit of a wormy guy. Eli is a farmer's son and New Age preacher who does miracles and releases demons, and very much so wants money for his church. But he's not dumb. He knows what his land is worth and is the major antagonist. Eli is out to get what he wants, and Daniel is the counterpoint to that. The movie is very much so about people using each other. How much can Eli use Daniel, and how much can Daniel use Eli, who has the ear of the people and control of the local population? And then, at the end of the movie, there's a heel turn that took me by complete surprise, as Daniel rejects everyone. The struggle is over. Daniel has enough money to do whatever he wants, and he isolates himself from his son, from Eli, from the world, from news, and he stays in his big dark house. So there's such a contrast in the closing scene. The imagery for this movie is spectacular, where it goes from being in a cramped space in a cave to being in wide landscapes that have mountains in the distance and dirt and dust, and then being in cramped dark houses, and then it ends with Daniel being in this very large but still dark and wooden mansion house. It's having taken enough of this, Daniel commits a murder at the end. The movie ends. And announces that he's finished. Just like with the movie, like, I'm finished. And I did not understand this ending. I did not understand this character. For all of the interactions he had and all of the charisma he showed and however much he was striving in order to get oil and get his business running, at the end just be by himself. You don't have to have money to be all by yourself. Actions speak louder than words, and that action of murder snapped me out of my stupor, out of my blind acceptance of the movie, because I'm like, oh, I've been with this man the whole way. I wanted him to succeed. I think he's smart, and he talked in a funny voice that I really liked imitating, and his actions have been manipulative, but they've also been smart and clever, I thought. Even though he had to acquiesce to the demands of what I saw as a false religion at the time. I was even kinda with him in another part of the movie where there's another murder and another death. I'm still like, yeah, okay, that, And the other just flavor of this movie is just how dangerous oil work was, and is. The camera lingers on shots of oil just sitting on the ground, being poured in buckets and stored in like a big, just on the ground. There's crude oil that destroys land, and we have to scrub off of seals. Like, where else are they gonna put it though? Where else? They don't have barrels. They didn't think there would be oil today. So when accidents happen, you're like, that's bad. They probably could have protected them better, but also accidents happen. Then there's the murder, and you're like, oh, there's a murder in my movie now. Okay. And so much of this movie is subtle and lies and the manipulation by Daniel in order to play off societal aspects and family aspects that people tend to listen to was the music is low whenever Daniel speaks and does a pitch so you can focus on the words. There doesn't need to be a soundtrack to manipulate the audience into thinking one way or another. They're just the words that manipulate the audience and manipulated me. When Daniel Plainview has a moment of vulnerability with the character he's grown to like and flat out says his motivations, I didn't listen to him. I didn't believe him. Just because of the structure of movies and interacting with a church and with people and his son, I figured that the arc is this man learning to embrace people and all the things he's done to acquiesce, to be more polite in society, to take care of his children, to take care of his spiritual life, to take care of his employees. I saw that as a growth for the character, and I'm like, oh, this is where the arc is going. Because I did not believe the character when he said that he hated people and doesn't want to be around them at all and hates interacting with them and their demands.
Look at people and I see nothing worth liking.
And I just didn't believe it. Not only because I didn't expect that's what the character was like, but I didn't expect the character to end up like a murderer. I didn't expect someone that I related to, that I sympathized with, to be capable of murder, to think that murder was an okay thing. I did not understand hate. The word hate to me meant a video game that I kind of didn't like. I didn't understand how Daniel's actions spelled out how much he detested people, how little he thought of them, how much he would have just rather thrown them away, how much he would be fine killing them. Early in the movie, he says a threat to a character.
Paul, if I travel all the way up there and I find that you've been lying to me,
and I'm
gonna find you and I'm gonna take more than my money back. Is that alright with you?
Figured that's early in the movie. I figured, oh, we're going to change. We didn't. And we don't. And the movie was not about changing his character. The movie is about making you understand his character. And I assume the book is that this is not special. Daniel Plainview is not an out of the ordinary capitalist. He is a very serious, successful capitalist, and this is what it takes. People's lives to mean nothing. People being obstacles or helpful or nothing to you. It is isolating, and it is something where someone owning a $1 million business is thinking that you are above everyone else. So many people in our society did not take this lesson. They did not say, oh, the rich getting richer is people getting more and more taken away from their humanity. People that can't relate to us, that think a gallon of milk is a cheap $26. But it shows this both not only in Daniel, but also in Eli. As Eli too is greedy and seeks to make nice things for himself and his church, and not for God, but for himself. Eli uses the church and uses people just like Daniel uses people and money. And in the end, it is their greed that makes them consume one another. And there is blood. I'm a YouTube man. I like to think of myself as a YouTube man. I'm gonna need you to like the video. I'm gonna need you to subscribe. And then leave a comment down below about the movie and why you haven't seen it. You need to see this movie. It's pretty good. Or read the book. Also, I have a Patreon where you can read things that I write and interact with these wild things I do. HW, come.